Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels. My guest tonight for like the fourth or fifth time now. So like you're coming up on the five timers club that we keep talking about making t-shirts for.
Somebody is
It
like shaking a
shaking a star.
star-shaped tambourine
I love it.
in the spirit of who do you think?
Ziggy Stardust. I
Liam
hope.
Gallagher.
Liam Gallagher works too.
All right. So
And
great to
so
be
the incomparable
here
Miss Shelly
again.
Bond has returned for
Woo!
i-DOPPELGänger. So my first question is why doppelganger?
Well, I think you're going to have to read the final part of my graphic memoir editing trilogy to find out the significance. However, I'm going to tell you, and only you, that it's
And my
connected
listeners.
to, and your listeners, that it's connected to the very first time I saw David Bowie live in concert in
Okay.
June of 1987.
Okay.
Is that enough of an answer for you?
I like that answer. How
Okay,
many times did you get to see Bowie live?
twice.
Okay.
Can you believe
It's
it?
two more than I pulled off. So,
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, no,
I
I
assumed you
almost
would
got to
have.
see his 97 tour
What happened?
when he was with Nine Inch Nails. Well, I was 17 and I couldn't find anybody that was willing to go to the concert with me, and my parents wouldn't let me go down to the city on my own.
Oh,
Or it might have been 96. Yeah,
I
I was
know
young
that
and
that old chestnut. I had
yeah,
the same experience
with Clash.
with the Clash, of course,
Yeah.
but also just with any concert. I mean, you would
Yeah.
think when you're 17, your parents could trust you a little bit. Au
Well,
contraire.
see, my parents were even relatively good. If I had found even a friend to go with me, they didn't need me to go with an adult or whatnot. They just didn't want me going completely solo to a show that was going to get out at 11:30 at night on I think they were playing the United Center, so the near south side of Chicago,
Okay.
not easy
Understood.
public transportation access,
So you
you
couldn't
know.
convince your mom to go with you to the show? Your mom wasn't a
Uh,
Bowie fan?
My mom was a Bowie fan, but that was after my parents got divorced. So for her to be able to go to the show would have required us to find somebody to watch. My two younger brothers just would have been
Got
really complicated. And
it.
but by the time we even got close to figuring out how we might pull it off, tickets were sold out anyway. So, it was one of those like you got to
Yep.
pounce. But
Yep.
if you're not ready to pounce, I had friends that went to that show. It was supposedly an amazing show.
Yeah. You just reminded me how young you are and how
Yeah.
old I am. So thank you
Oh,
so
you're
much.
not old. You're
Starting
clearly
off the
younger than me.
starting off the conversation on such a good note. I'm gonna shake the tambourine.
Take the
And
tambourine again.
the score right now is Tad 1, Shelly -4.
No, no, no.
But the
Because
doppel,
I mean, here's the thing though, and this is how you feel young. Your kid just started college. I have grandkids.
okay, my kid is in his second year of college because time is elastic. But
That is true.
I think it's cool that you have grandkids because you actually got a chance to grow up with your own kids. And now you
That's
have
true.
just enough energy to be a
To
great,
actually play with the grandkids.
are you a pop-up or a grandpa? What's your
Grand
title?
Tad.
That is perfect. I
Yeah,
hope
Grand Tad.
I hope you have it on a t-shirt too. If you don't,
Not yet, but my wife can probably pull that off.
let's
She
have
makes
your
all my
wife
t-shirts.
let's have your wife do it. I was gonna say I would make one for you, but I'm just way too busy right now.
You have enough on your plate. You're making me doppelganger
I am.
and 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 record thieves like us and A to Zine 31 tips for making comics. I mean, as I was telling you off air, and I'm going at first, everybody go to Kickstarter, iDoppelganger. If you're not already backing it, back it. And this is the dangerous one because she always does the best swag in the business. So you're going to want to do your $15 for your extra swag. But she also has two $10 zines to go with it that both look amazing.
Well, and they're not really zines, by the way. They are
No, they're like,
hardcover
oh,
40.
they're hardcover, so they're not even zines. They're
Okay.
I missed the hardcover part. I see the hardcover part. 7 by 7, you're playing the whole album thing up, which I love.
Which I
Yeah,
copied from my husband on Geezer
yeah,
and Will Potter
yeah,
because who
yeah.
can resist?
No, it's great.
Yeah, and
So
I
so
actually I guess now you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, $10 for a zine, a little steep. $10 for a 48-page hardcover printed in Korea, beautiful production
it's like
quality.
dirt cheap.
Dirt cheap because I did it just for you. And I wanted to make sure people could afford it. And also, it's a little self-indulgent. I mean, think about it. 20 records that changed my life. Does anyone really care? God, I hope.
Yes.
God, I hope so.
Yes. What
There,
one of my favorite books is Nick Hornby's songbook, which is just a collection of essays about 31 songs that are important to him.
oh, okay.
You
I
know,
may or may not like that one though. I got to
you
be honest.
may well
I read High Fidelity and I did not love it. And I
okay.
hated the film and I
Okay.
wasn't nuts about the TV adaptation or whatever you want
Okay.
to call it. So yeah, maybe, maybe not. But I will tell you,
You and Hornby, I think, would cross over on some music, but he's got a wider swath of music that he likes. Um, I think you'd like the way he writes about music, though.
well, I'll have to check it out and I will
Yeah,
be
I mean
honest
it's
and let you know. I mean, listen, the truth of the matter is that I started working on that book during the pandemic when that 20 records, 20 days
okay.
social media prompt went around. And it was like, in the dead of the pandemic summer, and I was as depressed as everyone and just bored out of my mind and did it just for fun and realized I wanted to publish it only when I found the amazing artist Art by Lid on
Okay.
Instagram. So origin story of that book is that I reached out to her and I thought she probably had the interest in making comics just from looking at her amazing art, but I wasn't sure. And I didn't know who she was. She could have been 103, she could have been 23. And I thought I would hire her to do spot illustrations first. And that's how powerful her art was to me. My eyeballs were open, they were shaking. I thought, wow, she's amazing. Let's see what she's all about. Let's see if she's professional. And if she's interested, she might hate my musical taste and laugh at me, which would be horrible. And I would cry. But it turns out she not only was into it, she had many of the same similar favorite records.
Okay.
She was so fast and so professional. And we had such a blast working on that book that I immediately hired her to do some sequential work. So she has
Nice.
her first published comic with me in Death by Misadventure 2, but have continued working together nonstop. And she's a huge part of i-DOPPELGANGER. But
I
yes,
love it.
this is her first appearance in the comics scene. Apparently, she's a big TikTok sensation, which I only heard about through friends. And guess how
Right.
old she is?
I'm looking at the picture, so I'm gonna guess 22.
You know what? I thought you were going to say the same age as me, and you are almost correct. When I hired her, she was 25. So
Okay.
she turned 26, and she's just incredible. Of course, she said her mom had a pretty decent record collection, which
Okay.
made me feel 93 years old. But her mom is a little bit older than me, which is good. But I don't know. I guess working in comics keeps you young and immature. And I guess
Yeah.
that's why we're so simpatico.
Kind of like teaching high school.
Yeah, that's why you and I get along. I think that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I realized today that one of the teachers that I work with is closer to my daughter's age than mine. Like a lot closer to my daughter's
Oh,
age than
well,
mine.
it's the same thing. My son Spencer is 20. So he is
Right.
closer an age to Lindsay, who goes by Art by Lid. And it's
Right.
crazy, but it just, when you connect with people on an art level,
Yeah.
or especially comics as the ultimate art form, there's a synergy and a magic that happens unlike anywhere else. And so that's what I'm always going for. I like to say to like my editing students and to people that I meet, for me to actually sit down and write something, I have to be either really irritated or really inspired. So I get pissed off, as you know, about things that happen in politics or just in
I,
society
I
that are
I
all
I
wrong.
did notice that you actually like got political on your Kickstarter this time around with comments about the possibility of tariffs throwing everything off.
Oh, well, that's just reality.
It
Anytime.
is reality, but I've never seen you so overtly political in public.
Well, as we know, we have just faced our second missed opportunity for a woman
Yep.
to run the country. And I'm a little irritated about that. And I know there are going to
I
be
would
so
be
many.
I am too. And it's particularly irritating that like apparently like the American electorate has decided that they'd rather have a buffoon than a woman.
A convicted felon, but whatever. We're going to have to just suck it up and move forward as we did
Yep.
last time, and we will
Yep.
continue to do. But that's what I kind of like to think about when I get ready to kickstart. Often it's an anthology, so I can get other people riled up and we can make
Right.
art and noise, and we can make a
Okay.
difference through the art form that is comics and graphic novels. And an interesting thing that happened this time, as you know, because you've been so amazing at helping promote and follow not only my career, but also my husband Philip's career through Off Register Press. So let me just thank you again for that and for your support and everything you do for
It's
comic
not hard to
press.
support you guys. You put out such amazing stuff that like
Thanks.
I just feel happy that not only do I get to like read it, but then I get to go, "Hey Shelly, that was amazing."
Well, I appreciate that so much. But what I really want to express to you here that's super important for me to share with your listeners is that, I've been working on this graphic memoir editing trilogy for a number of years, and I
Mhm.
did the first two back to back. So I
Yeah.
had Filth and Grammar come out in 2022, and it was exhilarating to work on that book. And you probably remember I worked with Imogen Mangle, who was right out
Yep.
of art school, and a whole bunch of friends and colleagues from all my years in comics contributed to Filth
Right.
and Grammar. And for anyone who's listening, real quick recap. Filth and Grammar, the comic book editor's secret handbook, is 80% how to make comics, how I edit comics, what I look for, tips and tricks, 20% comic book short stories of my life as an editorial ingenue, working my way up the ladder at DC Comics in the 90s. Fast Times, which came out a year later, and I was pretty good about that. I just kickstarted the following year, and then 8 months later, we had a book, was the opposite ratio. It was an 80-20. It was 80% editorial antics. So fun times in New York City, working for one of the big two publishers, DC Comics, in the 90s, and spending my weekends down on St. Mark's Place, buying records, reading comics until midnight on a Saturday night, going to concerts, um, and 20% editing tips and tricks of the trade because I can't help myself. Everything I write will always have some editing advice because even in 2024, it's hard to really understand what a comic book editor does. And so I just kind of want to leave my red ink all over anything that I touch, especially if I'm writing. Which leads us to i-DOPPELGänger. So the main point I wanted to make, Tad, was just that I don't want to say I was stalling to get this book out, but I've been taking my time because this is the final part of the trilogy and I want to get it right. And it also encompasses a quarter of a century. It's life as we know it from 2000 to 2024, which is a significant amount of time to recount things in comics and world events. So, i-DOPPELGänger, Portrait of the Comic Book Editor in the 21st Century, and My Last Days at Vertigo. That's a subtitle just for you. It's 50-50 because it had to be.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
50% up and down and around the corporate ladder at DC Comics in the 20th century as digital kicked in, as I began working more closely with assistants and how to learn how to delegate, and worked my way up essentially from being a full editor at the end of the 90s, but then having to jump through the hoops to get to be a senior editor and then a group editor, and then eventually an executive editor and a VP executive editor, only to walk the plank after 2 years on the job, which, was humiliating.
Right.
And yet I saw it coming, which always makes it easier when you're waving goodbye. So I share not only highlights from the books that I edited at Vertigo in that 16-year period, which includes Gerard Way's Young Animal, which was a hell of a way to exit a company. I mean, what an accomplishment for Gerard and team.
Those are some of my son's favorite books.
Super special person. Don't think of him as a rock star. I think of him and have always thought of him as a powerhouse of creativity, as a writer artist, and just as a collaborator, just a true champion of the form and a hell of a great person. So, secret histories of some of those projects, including the Makes line, which was DC Comics' very first young adult imprint that I pitched in 2003. So the origin story for that is fun, and it involves some artwork by one of your favorite artists and mine. You're going to say Paul Pope, and I'm going to say Philip Bond.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be either Phil or China.
Phil, it's either Philip or Paul Pope or Mike Allred, if
Those
I'm
are three
really
great
being
ones.
honest right now. However, the other part of this book is how to remain a respectable human in an industry that some people have cited as being in a perpetual dumpster fire. And I admit that I just made that up on the spot for you, but I really believe that because I
Yeah, I
really,
mean, something that comes up a lot on this podcast, and frankly, a lot in conversations I have, period, is how how do you maintain good art when the separation between
art and artist,
well, art and artist,
art,
but
art form and
between
industry.
artist and who's paying for it? I mean,
Yeah.
we have fewer and fewer people that have the money to publish, or to run publishing houses. It's one of those, and it's true in other industries too. But the less competition there is, the less motivation there is for the people who are going out to say, oh, I want this or I want that, to actually take real risks, because they don't have to.
Well, and sadly, I think at the end of the day, a lot of money is being thrown at the same old quote
Yep,
unquote stereotypical dudes,
yep, yep.
like the same old
Uh-huh,
comics. And
uh-huh. That's
for
exactly where I was going.
some reason, for some reason, they think it's okay to take the money and run and announce these very small companies that are staffed by their friends and other men in comics and have very few women on board or have very few people on board with disparate points of view. And that was always the success of Vertigo, which I know that you realize. Vertigo
Oh yeah.
wasn't about the
Well,
name.
I mean,
It could have been called Portal, which was one of the early
right,
names for the
right,
imprint. But it was Karen Berger's vision to hire editors with different points of view and different interests that were not super fanboys or
right.
fangirl or fan people. not fanatics about other things and not just
Right.
comics, and create stories with intent and gravitas. And I think that's where so many companies miss the mark. It's
Well,
about trusting people and their
s-
tastes.
certainly in the single issue comic field, I think we're seeing more and more that in the imprints at publishing houses. You see that at First Second. You see that at Maverick. You see that at you know, I mean, if you look beyond the things that show up in your local comic stores
Right.
and
Direct market.
look at sales throughout the entire book market. The best-selling books are incredibly diverse right now, which just kind of makes it painful for some of us who love the monthly medium to see how slowly it
Yes.
is with catching up with the times.
So true. And listen, let me just give some props to companies like Silver Sprocket, who are
Yep.
just wiping the
Silver Sprocket's doing good work.
wiping the floor with
Uncivilized.
everyone.
Yeah.
Uncivilized, amazing. Maple Terrace, dropped to
Yeah.
my knees for that book. Love
Yeah.
Noah Van
Yeah.
Sky, and really love what Tom is doing with his company, and
Right.
take risks on the sickness. And I believe
Right.
he has a Matt Madden book out now that looks terrific.
Yeah. Six treasures of the spiral. I had Matt on a couple weeks ago to
I have
talk
to go
about it.
back. I have to go back and listen to it because Matt is like my
Oh,
hero.
Matt's
99 exercise
crazy awesome.
is just
Yeah.
genius. I'm
Yeah.
all about the teaching tools. So can I just
Yeah.
interject and tell you, Tad, that i-DOPPELGänger is not only filled with all the stuff I told you about, but it also has a section called Follow My Lead, which is all about hopefully giving you guys, like people who want to make comics or people who just actually like to deconstruct comics, a little bit of a prompt or a procedure that may just help you winnow down your own ideas and finish
I
them.
mean, as a teacher, I'm looking forward to it as even just something to help kids with their essays. My,
Yes.
if I know anything about you, it's going to be enough about like the mindset of break it down and make it work and go
Yes. It's
than
very
anything
much
that's
the
truly 100% specific to comics.
Well,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, I think that's the whole thing. I mean, you could read 100 books about like, the secrets to great writing or, how to create something novel length. To me, the number one true editing crime is not finishing something. And it's
right.
usually because you come to the table with a lofty goal, and that's ridiculous. Make a mini comic, make a one-page story, gradually build up to the 3 or 4 page comic, and then go for a single issue. Don't come
This
out of the
actually,
gate, right? Don't come out of the gate thinking you're going to do a
uh,
160-page comic.
absolutely. Are you at all a Ray Bradbury fan?
You know,
Yeah.
not a
Have you
ton.
have you ever read his book Zen and the Art of Writing?
I haven't, although
Okay.
I thought you were going to say Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, which I have read, but
Yeah,
no,
I've read that
I
one
haven't.
too.
Tell me about the Bradbury book.
So the thing that you just made me think of is he writes about um his routine is he woke up in the morning, made toast and a pot of coffee, and wrote a short story. Didn't
That's
do
great.
anything else until he was done with that short story.
Yeah.
And like the afternoons and whatnot were for correspondence and editing and whatnot. And in that essay, he even cops to the fact that he's like, some people have figured it out already, but like for those that haven't, most of my novels are just cobbled together short stories.
Well, and that's great advice because I think that it's a huge problem. And just when I talk to people at conventions who say they've been working on their comic for 3 years, and my response to them is, well, where is it? Oh, well, it's a
Right.
long comic. It's like, well, don't do that. Writing a short story or writing a one-page comic, like a Hey Amateur comic, and I know you're familiar with that,
Oh, I love Hey Amateur.
it's the way to jumpstart your idea. So if you can write a short story, and maybe the short story is really just the one scene that
Hmm.
has to be in your comic, whether it's 6 pages or 60 pages, Write that one scene first that got you here, because you might forget it if you're going to
Right.
spend 3 years writing a 20-page comic. The only way we were able to publish monthly comics when I was at Vertigo, and let's not forget that my claim to fame was Fables at 150 issues, and it was capped there as far as I'm concerned, because we had a hustle. And I had to
Right.
get Bill Willingham to write regularly. And I had to schedule fill-ins when sometimes the art teams got sick or people, we ran into problems. So I had to have some pretty good plan
See,
B and
I
plan C.
I
And
have
you
to ask you a random
got,
question
go
about
ahead,
Fables
go for
that
it.
like Fables felt like it was done at 75 and then it kept
Oh,
going. Was it supposed to be? Was it one of those things where it was
no,
planned for a shorter length than it was selling, or was the
no.
whole thing kind of there? What
Well,
I mean,
I'll
because
tell you the truth.
75 was kind of the end of that first big epic.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that Bill pitched me that series as an ongoing series that could probably run for years and years and years. And I knew that because I knew Bill's work. And
Right.
I thought if he was really in it and he was serious, and I got him the right creative team or team members, we could do it. And Jeanette Kahn agreed with us because there was always that idea that, well, it's fairy tales, and so it already has a built-in audience, but we've got to make it unique enough that people will say, hey, I didn't think of it in that way. And I think that that was the genius of Fables, is that Bill came in not only with Snow White and Bigby Wolf as two very disparate characters who were different from their original Disney-fied persona. Just the idea that Bigby, or the big bad wolf, had a smoke to keep his wolf-like characteristics under wraps so he could appear in the modern world as somewhat human. But Bill also set up some challenges for himself that his characters actually, as you know, uh, fought with him about. And the characters won because from the very beginning, and I talk about this in i-DOPPELGänger, but I'm giving this straight to you. From the very beginning, Bill said to me that he said, Shelly, I know you're going to want Snow and Bigby to fall in love, and it's not going to happen because it happened on Moonlighting, which was a terrific sitcom in the late
Yep.
80s,
Yep.
Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis.
Bruce
And
Willis.
when they let those characters fall in love, they were like a pair of investigators. When
Yep.
they allowed them to fall in love, the show went under and it was canceled. So Bill read me the riot act even before I said, is there going to be romance in Fables? He said to me, no, not with these characters. And then sure enough, storybook love. So you get the true story about Fables, but the answer is no. Bill told me from the beginning that Sandman reached 75, again, at the time of, making
Right.
Fables in the early 2000s, and he said he wanted to beat Neil. So as a
Okay.
joke, he said, I wanted to be 76 issues, but he was kidding. He really wanted to double lap Neil, and he did
Which
with
you did.
150.
Which you did.
Yeah, I'm still so
Um,
super proud of that original run. The
I,
one
I, I- I've
15
had a
years.
question stuck in my head since the beginning of the episode, so we're going to circle back a little bit because
Oh,
I,
goody.
I am in. We're going back to Art by Lid, but
Sure.
specifically, you said you found her on Instagram, and which is exactly how to find artists today. But I'm so many people get set in their own way of scouting. I one of the things that's always impressed me about you is you have adapted with comics and with the times and what's best. Talk to me about, because you found new and up and coming creators at every stage of your career. Talk to me about how that process has changed.
Well, it's a whole lot easier now. But I say to people, even back in the day, you had to roll up your sleeves and dig for it. So I'd go to St. Mark's Comics on the weekends and I would go through the stacks, or I'd go to Hanley's Universe in New York. I found Becky Cloonan's mini comics in Hanley's Universe and Raina Telgemeier's Smile long before it became, a huge bestseller. It was a mini comic, and I loved it because I also had trouble with my teeth when I was small, even younger than Raina, because I walked in front of a swing set, which I think you might know about because you know
Yes.
summer camp stories. So I
And
was,
please tell me that you're going to finish that one day,
oh, it's
because I
finished.
know you had big plans, and
Well, that
I'm looking
that
forward to
that's
more of it.
finished, and that is going to come out in the spring. And Liz
For
Prince
that matter,
just,
I don't know if I can get that. No, not quite. I have your Hack Pack sticker on my laptop right here.
oh, nice. I love it. No, I believe you. I believe you. And I know your listeners can't see this, but have you seen the doll?
If not,
Well, this doll is going to be part of the Kickstarter for the trade paperback that comes out next
nice.
spring, just in time for camp. 128 pages.
Okay.
Liz Prince just finished the last pages 2 weeks ago. So yes, I've been working on that too. But to get back to
Well,
answering,
when that Kickstarter goes live, you have to actually bring Liz Prince this time,
I will. I promise I will.
because I love Liz Prince. I loved Liz Prince before she was drawing your comics.
Oh yeah, of course. Tom, I mean, Liz is brilliant.
Well, and I think the first thing I read from her was actually her collection of punk rock comics.
Oh yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a
Yeah.
huge fan of Liz's work forever. But just to
Yeah.
get back to your scouting question, so the bottom line though is that I think a lot of people are lazy. I think you get to a point where you're comfortable with a coterie of artists and writers who do great work for you, and I think it's easy to get lazy. But anyone with eyeballs who is not pounding the pavements to be inspired by the next generation of artists isn't a true editor of my book. And I know that means I'm like really dissing a lot of people out there, but come on, people. I mean, we
Not the
have
good ones.
we have an
You're not
obligation.
dissing the good ones.
I honestly think I'm going to get political again, but I think my generation dropped the ball in comics. We have an obligation to the next generation to do better. We spent the past 15 years going from female empowerment at these companies. Jeanette Kahn left DC Comics, and honestly, I
Right.
feel like the walls caved in and crumbled at that point. And sometimes it gets better. Like you said, there are certainly some companies for a second among many others that
Right.
are have a lot of women and they're doing some really good books and a lot of gender neutral people and people with different points of view and some men who are creating great comics. I'm not trying to be sexist or have a gender bias, but
No,
come
I
on,
understand.
people. Come on, people. We could have been so much further along than we are. And a lot of things have happened in comics, including women quitting comics because of sexual harassment
Yeah.
and all kinds of other things, not just in the companies, but in these areas that are adjacent to comics where we should do better because we know better. So that's what I'm hoping I do with i-DOPPELGänger. It's not a bittersweet tell-all because who wants a whiny retrospective? It's about stepping up, putting lessons learned on the page, working with artists, some artists that you're going to know and love, like Mark Buckingham, David Hahn, who did such a great body of work for Vertigo, not just for me, but Bike Club was such a favorite. So you're going to see a couple of artists who you remember from those years, but you're mostly going to see Art by Lid and Imogen Mangle and a couple of other people uh, dotted across the book whose work really inspired me. And so when I tell you that I had to find something for Art by Lid, when my eyeballs interacted with her amazing Instagram work, I went right to 20 records, 20 days, which became Record Thieves Like Us, because it was written and I couldn't wait to work with her as soon as possible. So that's what needs to happen 99% of the time. When you see art, it should kick you in the face and say, hey, write something for me or get me a writer. and let's meet on the page through comics, the ultimate art form. Mic drop. If I make you laugh, Tad, after a really hard week of teaching and I made you laugh like that, mission accomplished.
I've Yeah, absolutely. This has been part of what's gotten me through the last few days. Knowing that I had this
Ah,
waiting. Um, oh, give me one out of the 20. Don't, obviously I can't ask you for all of them, but give me one song out of the 20
it's
or
not a
one
song, it'll be
album.
a record. Sometimes I can't decide and I cheat
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
cheat
yeah.
records, but I'll give you one, but I'm also going to give you my greatest regret, and I'm paying for it in such a big way. And so is Philip, because I cannot stop listening to Pulp's His and Hers, which is my
Okay.
favorite Pulp album. And I think right now it's my favorite album next to Suede's Dog Man Star and Bowie's Diamond Dogs. That's my perfect trifecta. If you let me have three albums to take with me into my coffin, those are the albums. But one of the,
Those those are good set of albums. I
yeah.
can't
What are your
th-
three? Give me three. Give me three before I answer your question. I mean,
my
I
three.
kind of answered your question anyway, because
Yeah,
Dog
see,
Man,
I'm ridiculously eclectic, so my three are like
go on.
probably
I know
Money Jungle by Ellington.
it's hard to choose.
Money Jungle by Ellington.
Okay.
Abbey Road by the Beatles.
I'm more of a Kinks fan, but go on.
I'm at least as much of a Kinks fan, but the second side of Abbey Road is near perfection as anybody's ever come on an album side. Um,
Interesting. We'll debate that some other time.
the first side has its ups and downs, but the second side I can listen to over and over and over again. Um,
I feel that way about Pulp, His and Hers. And you're going to say to yourself, how in the world could you not put it in your book? I ask myself the same question every
well, it
single
just means
day.
that you've got an excuse to do like an Instagram comic. Join join the revolution. Put it out for free.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a
Have
bad.
Philip draw it.
Your third, did you mention three or just two?
No, my third is probably No Code by the Beatles or by Pearl Jam.
All right. Interesting.
Ellington, the Beatles, and Pearl Jam. If I'm
Well,
doing three right now,
well, Philip
um,
Philip refuses to have a favorite anything, by the way, and he thinks it's ridiculous
yeah,
for the very reason that
mine change all over the time.
right.
Yeah,
No, that's it. But see, that's why I call that book a follow my lead prompt, because you need to do it
right.
anyway. And yes, I'm regretting it. Of course I am. And I know the exact album I want to take out of there
Yes.
and did
See,
not.
the key, Shelley, is not to regret it. Just make another list.
It's true. It's
My
true.
son and I used to make lists like every time we got together for dinner, one of us would have a prompt and we'd just make lists. And
Great.
then when that list was done, it was like, oh, but I forgot to do this. So now we're going to do a list of this.
Well, that's the whole thing. I think a lot of people have a fear of making a comic or making a list or making a mix or a soundtrack and forgetting things, and almost like it's a way to convince yourself that you're not ready to release your personal
Right.
best out into the world. And we have to
It's kind
we,
of like when you're traveling and you feel like you have to run from place to place to place to place because you don't
right,
want to miss this while you're there and then
and
you
you're
don't
too
enjoy
tired.
any of it because
Exactly.
you're just
We're
running around. I
exhausted.
remember the first time my wife and I traveled together and like she was used to the family trips where they went boom boom we got okay, we're here. Now we got to go because we don't want to miss this and it closes it. And I just said, I just assume that like if I don't see it, that's an excuse to come back. And if I
It's
don't come back, it means I didn't care about seeing it that much.
no, that's so right. But I think that as I recall, vacations with my family, the best times when you were just allowed to like hang out in the hotel room and like just have a
Yeah.
pillow and watch
Yeah.
TV and raid the mini bar, not of booze, but
Or
of like the
or
camp.
like exploring the local diners is one of my favorite things to do. Or,
See who has the
uh,
best French fries. They got to be
yeah.
steak fries, Tad. They have to be well done, almost burned to a crisp, or I'm not eating them.
Okay. There's a place near me that you'd like a lot.
All right. I'll have to,
Next time you're in Chicago, I'll bring you up to the North Burbs.
it might happen. You never know.
Yeah,
It's
well,
been a
I mean, we got
while.
a couple of conventions around here. I think two big ones and a like small press con every year in Chicago. There's another small press con up in Milwaukee every year. They might
Nice.
have a bigger one, but I don't pay as much attention to the big ones.
Well,
I like the small press ones.
get me an invite. We were asked to go to Genghis Khan this past weekend.
Yeah.
We had a blast in Cleveland. And all it took was one extremely convincing, amazing artist named Sequoia Bostic, who runs the show. She asked nicely, and we said, okay. And we were there, and I would love to go back. It was a really great time.
Very, very cool. What was your favorite part of Cleveland?
Oh, that's going to be tough. We stayed in a terrific place. There's a residency at Zygot Press, which is a printing company that just supports the arts community. They were kind enough to donate their space to Philip and I to stay in the facility. So
Okay.
it would have been like, you know, printing zines all night. And I wish I would have done that, but I was so exhausted just from working the convention
Yeah.
that it was just, lights out. But it was playing pinball, which I
Okay.
hear you're quite the fan of pinball.
Well, I have played pinball, and like now that I know it's a thing in Ohio, I want to make certain that I like play for the first time in like 2 decades the next time I'm in the state, and or figure out if there's a pinball place in Chicago. But like
Oh, there
I
must be. It's the new
there must be, but
karaoke. It's the new karaoke.
it's what it seems like. It's what it seems like, For that matter, my friend Katie went from the karaoke party at Cartoon Crossroads to play pinball before going back to her hotel.
But did she have a pinball injury? I actually bruised
Yeah,
my
you
forefinger.
bruised your thumb. Well, I mean, she plays in a league, so I imagine she's built up calluses.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask her,
Okay.
but
Ask her
but
because I was
yeah.
I was embarrassed, but I was not going to let Jaws defeat me. I played the Jaws pinball machine, which, I'm old enough to remember when Jaws came out and scared the life out of me in the theater, which I should not have been taken to see that movie, but thank you, Mom and Dad. You're crazy people.
See, Jaws always the thing that Jaws makes me think about the most is how sometimes the best things are happy accidents that you allow to happen. Because the power of that movie is how long it takes to see the shark. And the only reason it takes that long to see the shark is because they couldn't make the shark work. They kept having to,
Uh-huh.
it was supposed to show up in like the first minutes of the film, but they were having ridiculous amounts of trouble with the mechanical shark. So they just kept rewriting it to work around the fact that the shark wasn't working. If they
Right.
decided that they had to shoot, if they'd had somebody say that they could go over budget because they needed to wait until they could get, there are a million ways where they decide that they have to stick to the script and it winds up not being as good. But instead, they're like, okay, we got to work with what we've got.
Yep. Well, that's what it is, a constraint. When
Right.
a problem comes up, and this is also, believe it or not, I'm going to tie it back to i-DOPPELGANGER because there are certain words that I throw out in the book that I think are important to anyone who wants to get ahead in life or in making comics. And one of those words is pivot, because when things are thrown at you, whether they're banana peels or whether it's ink in the face, you just sometimes have to pivot and go to plan B. And so that's what I guess they did on the set of Jaws. And
Yep.
what did that do? That created and heightened the suspense,
Yep.
the fear that everyone in that audience had, whether in the theater or watching it from their couch or reading the book for that matter. Because I
Yeah.
remember my mom read a lot of books and then we went to see the movies and, you know, they were terrifying because a lot of that was in your head and the suspense grows in your head. But to get it on film, like how amazing is that? That's what I love about monthly comics and comics that you make quickly. You don't have time to worry, is it perfect? What will people think? This isn't my best work. Well, you know what? It probably isn't, but finish it anyway so you can get on to the next comic.
S-
Urgent
uh,
art.
before we hit my wrap up question, I'm gonna. You said constraint, and it reminded me of something that we touched on earlier. Matt Madden's new book is all about comics made with a particular constraint. Each comic he started with, this is going to be in this poetic form, or this is going to be, using this or not using that or whatever.
Certain amount of panels.
Right. Though generally even weirder than that. There's
Oh,
there's there's one there's one where every panel has to like resemble a letter
oh,
where you
nice.
have
I
to
can't
you,
wait to get this book.
oh, it's so good. It's available now. Six Treasures of the Spiral, comics formed under pressure, from Uncivilized Press. So,
Please check it out because
check it
Matt
out.
creates some terrific teaching tools. My
Oh,
favorite
yeah.
is in my comics editing class at Portland State. Drum roll, shaking the tambourine, is 99 exercises in style,
Right.
which I
99 Ways to Tell a Story.
exactly. That's the
I
real
also love drawing words and writing pictures.
right, which is the
Yeah.
textbook that
Textbook
he
for their
did
class
like
with
back
Jessica.
with
Yeah.
his wife Jessica. I hate to
Yeah.
say it, but I do have to dash, so I can't wait for this last question. The
Yep.
wrap.
Here it is. Give me something that you love that not enough people have experienced and you need them to so you can talk to them about it. Preferably comics, but you like lots of stuff, so whatever.
Wow, that's a great wrap up question. I was going to say pulp his and hers because I feel like I dissed Jarvis in the biggest way, but I've already talked about that too much, so don't count that.
It'll be in the show notes anyway, just not in this part.
Well, yeah, it's a tough thing. I will say that my favorite John Allison comic is one that isn't easy to find, and it's called Expecting to Fly, and it's a two-parter, and it features his characters from Scary Go Round, which are his mod characters. Can you believe it? I love his mod, you know, 90s growing up in Sheffield characters who love Britpop music. Can you imagine me liking something like that? Not really, right? So I will share that with readers because sometimes you can find that comic on Gumroad and
Well, I was about to say it
it's
is on
cheaper,
Gumroad
it's cheaper,
right
it's
now.
free. If
Name a fair price.
this comic, which I actually have two copies of because I went and like tracked it down, which again is one of the greatest joys I miss so much about that search for the perfect record or the search for the perfect comic. You can find things either real quickly, just Google searching and then maybe going on eBay. But tracking something down, the thrill of the quest is something that I really wish that more people would remember. A, they love doing, and B, do it again. But that's the book that I recommend to people because that two-parter, I think, is a perfect two-parter. And I
And
hope that John,
they are both available on Gumroad right now. So people can find them and I will throw them in my show notes and I will likely have read them by the next time we talk because,
and I'm going to actually bring it even more full circle because John Allison draws a character named Lottie, who is my doppelganger, or I'd like to think she was when I had a thick black fringe and chin length bob in the 90s. So I always tell John that Lottie is my doppelganger, but she is way cooler than I ever will be or ever was. So there we go. We tie it back to i-DOPPELGänger, which is on Kickstarter right now. could really use some support. If you can't back it, I totally get it. We're all broke, but please share the campaign because I really want to wrap up my
Well,
graphic
and this
memoir
is where I'll
editing
say, I
trilogy in
mean, it's
style.
really easy to go really overboard because you've got all sorts of cool stuff, but digital copy for $18.
Exactly. And it's at 176 pages. And remember, it's 50% me, my life in the 21st century, editing comics, my tips and tricks, but it's also 50% how you can step it up and level up your comics, give back to the community, and just make comics and make your mark on history, Tad. It's never too late. I want to see you making more comics.
I'm all for people making more comics. I'm all for people reading more comics. I'm all for more off-register comics. Um,
Hooray!
we'll
Hooray!
ring the tambourine some more. And for Shelly Bond, this has been 22 Panels. We will see you after the next page.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22 Panels Podcast.